Hey everyone, today we're going to be showing you how to install the Tusk Compact Power Harness on your adventure bike or dual sport motorcycle. And all this is a fuse box that allows you to wire up to 3 accessories on your bike. It's going to keep everything clean and prevent that rat's nest from forming underneath your seat. And another cool feature with the fuse box, you've got some switches inside of here so you can choose between constant or key on power for each of these leads. So it's really cool. Some of the common things that we like to wire up with these boxes are GPS units, 12-volt accessory sockets, heated grips, and auxiliary lighting. Now, whatever accessories you're adding to your machine, it's going to be a similar process. So let's go ahead and get started. So right here we have everything that comes with the Tusk Compact Power Harness. You've got different fuses that can be changed out depending which accessories you're going to be running. There's different amperage ratings. You also have a double stick adhesive to mount this up, zip ties to help secure everything, and you've got connectors to hook up to your accessories so they plug right into the power harness. Now for these fuses, again, they can be swapped out depending on what accessories you're running, and each fuse correlates to a lead. So number 1, that's going to be on the left, 2 in the middle, 3 on the right, and then you can choose if you want each lead to be constant or key on power. So if you look down in here, you can see a C on the left. So if we switch that white switch to the left, that's constant power. If we move it to the right, to the S, that stands for switched or key on power. So you have some really cool features with this. Let's take a look at what we need to get this installed. To get your accessories installed, you're going to want to have some common hand tools for body panels, things like that. But things that are specific to this job are going to be a test light. We need to find some key on power. You could use a multimeter instead. We also have additional zip ties to secure wiring. For us, we're going to be soldering wires together. You don't have to do this, but in my opinion, this is the best way to get the job done. We also have a little electrical tape. If you do want to use new electrical connectors, the kit does come with some 2.8 millimeter terminals. So if you have a crimping tool, make sure it can do that. We're also using wire strippers and some safety glasses. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to point out that the Compact Power Harness comes with 3 5-amp fuses already installed. And before you tell me that, hey, that's not enough, let me tell you about some of the accessories we run. So the Squadron Pro. This is one of the higher power pulling accessories that we run on our bikes. It's pulling 3.5 amps or 42 watts, and everything else we run on our bikes uses less. So these 5-amp fuses are going to work just fine for us. But if you do find an accessory that pulls more amperage, the kit also comes with different fuses you can swap out. So if you need something that takes a 7.5 amp fuse or a 10 amp fuse, we've got you covered. But just for another example, something we add to almost all of our adventure bikes is heated grips. So that's about 20 watts or less than 2 amps. So again, these fuses are going to be just fine. A common place to mount this compact power harness is right next to your battery. So to access that on most bikes, you're just going to remove your seat. Now in the battery box, you want to find a mounting location for this. You can use the zip ties to mount it up or the double stick tape. And for us, we have this flat surface right here. Well, somewhat flat. We're going to use that. We're going to clean it off with a little rubbing alcohol on a rag. And then since this surface is on a curve, I'm going to cut this in thirds and then double up these edges just so I have more of a contact patch. We have 3 wires to connect for the power supply. The red and black leads will go straight to the battery, and the blue wire is for key on power. Now to connect these leads to the batteries, I'm going to remove these eyelets first. Now it's kind of tight in here, so it might be kind of hard to see this, but we had 5 accessories going to the positive terminal before. The power harness is going to run 3 of those, so 2 of those are still going to need to be connected to this, and they're just going to be 2 constants. We're just going to run it straight from the battery. We've got that power harness wire hooked in right there. Now we'll go through that main connection and into the battery. You always want to connect the positive terminal first. Now for the negative terminal, combine the eyelets. We'll go through that main connector and into the battery. Now for the blue wire, you're going to connect this to a key-on power source. So that's where the test light comes in. All we got to do is hook this up to the negative terminal on our battery. We'll just touch this on the positive, make sure it works. So that's our constant. Now we need to touch this to a place we think is a good key-on power source. And if you have an auxiliary power port stock on your bike, that might be a good spot. There's a lot of different places you can go. For us, we're already in this battery box. Let me move this clip out of the way. You can see we've got 2 fuse boxes here. That's going to be a great place to tie into key-on power. So first thing I'm going to do is loosen those up. And ours just has a little tab you press in on and pulls straight out on both of them. So when you flip the lids on these, they usually tell you what the fuses are for. So if you're looking at this fuse box, we have a 10 amp accessory fuse. That's going to be a perfect place to tie in. So that's the red one right there. We can flip this over and test it on the back side. And that's just going to be our 3rd wire in, so right there. So right now our key is off. So if I turn the key on, lights up, we know we're good to go right there. And all this blue wire is doing, it's not pulling current to run your accessories. It's just letting this box know that the key is on, and then it trips a relay inside of here, and then it's pulling power straight from your battery to run your accessories. Now for anyone that's not lucky enough to have an auxiliary fuse right there ready to go, we're looking at this other fuse box right here. So we've got ignition, signal. The signal is going to be for the tail light along with the turn signals, and we are going to have a key-on power from that fuse. So that's going to be another great place you could tie into if you need to. So again, we're going from this 10 amp auxiliary fuse, and the easiest way to tap into this is going to be to pull the fuse. And then if you look down in here, you can see the metal connector. There's a little plastic tab on the side that's holding that in place. So if you pull out on the tab with a little pick like this and then use a small screwdriver to press down on the metal connector, that wire is going to come out of your fuse holder. So it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and close that top. We'll flip this to the bottom side, and I'm going to gently clamp onto this with some pliers and pull out that wire. Just pay attention to the orientation. You're going to want to have it go back in the same way. And from here, we're going to be able to pull back some of this insulation. Then we're going to cut and strip the blue wire to length and solder those 2 wires together. Once the wires have been soldered together, I'm going to use some electrical tape to cover that up. And then I'm actually putting a zip tie on here. I know it seems kind of weird, but after a couple of years, sometimes the electrical tape can start to unwind. So the zip tie prevents that. And we can put that wire back in place and push it all the way in until it clips. And I'll go ahead and reinstall my fuse and clip the box back in place. Now for wiring our accessories, I'm going to start with terminal 1 or wire lead 1. And the first way to do this, take one of the supplied connectors with the 2 wires coming out, and we're just going to cut these to length and solder these up. It's always a good idea to leave a little extra so you're not putting strain on your wires. Then we're just going to strip those back and solder them together and use a little heat shrink. Now for the next accessory, we're going to use the supplied 2.8 millimeter terminals along with the white connectors. So we're just going to cut the ends off of these wires. I'm going to strip that wire back. And then we're going to use the crimping tool to install those 2 connectors. And then just make sure both of those connectors are on there really tight. They're not going to come off. And the little tabs that stick out on the sides, make sure those are not bent over. So with this locking tab on top, the red or positive wire is going to be on the right, and it's going to go in flat like this. and it's going to lock into place once you slide it in there. If it's not going in, that means you need to rotate the connector to get it to slide in. So with both of those locked in, we can make our connection. Now the last option is to use butt connectors. It's not my favorite, but it's going to get the job done if that's what you need. With the connections made, you want to take a second to go back through the wiring, make sure it's all routed clean, and get it tied down. And reinstall the seat. So that's how you install the Tusk Compact Power Harness on your adventure bike. If you have any questions about that process, leave them down in the comments. If you need to pick one of these up, they're available on our website. Just click the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75, so take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.